Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Travis Straw, and you're listening to Frantic Purpose, the podcast where I talk about what's on my mind, and two or three people listen to it. Thank you for my loyal listeners, and welcome back. Today, I want to talk about lots of things. Like usual, I have a lot on my mind, and lately it's been TikTok, AI, the youth of America, and the next generation of human beings, like my son, who is 2 months old now. I'll start with parenthood has ruined me in the sense that I love it so much. I got you there. Returning back to the workforce makes no sense anymore. I know I'm supposed to go to work and make money and want to be away from my whatever stereotype, blah, blah, blah. I do not. I really enjoy being at home with my family, and I love being here for every moment with my baby and my wife. And now work feels pointless. It 100% just feels stupid. And if any of you from work are listening, you know what I mean. I mean, anyone on the planet. I know there are people who really, really, really love their jobs, but I'm talking about the 90% of people. Like, I do a good job. I'm happy with the work I do. I'm a hardworking guy. And when it comes down to it, though, when I weigh work with family, family always wins. If I had enough money, I would never work again. And not to go like gallivant and do whatever. It would be like literally to be present and to see my son grow up and to foster a better and better relationship with my wife and maybe have more kids. Um, so yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that working seems even more stupid than usual. So anyways, that's my personal burden to bear. I've worked Wednesday, Tuesday, and today, and oh man, I can't tell you how stupid it is. That's it. I'll just stop there. So during me transitioning into becoming a father, I decided to, since I had so much time in the middle of the night, me and Amanda did a shift work thing. So we'd have overlap a good amount, and then Amanda would go to bed for a good amount of time, and I'd have time with Hemingway. And Hemingway would usually fall asleep, and I'd have time to play video games and, in general, just hang out, draw. I made the To Future Fathers podcast, and, you know, tried to make good use of my time. And one of those things was to dive into TikTok. I've always thought, and like back in the day when everyone thought posting you like videos on the internet was stupid, I was doing it. Me and my family were doing it. Me and my brothers were doing it. We made YouTube content back in the day when no one thought it was cool. Everybody I was filming or wanted to film thought I was insane for wanting to put content online. So we were at the forefront of it all. Not that I was ever successful. I'm not sitting here being, look, and then I made millions. I wish I didn't. I put more energy into my career. I thought, it didn't make sense to put my all of my eggs in the creator basket. I really, and the more I think about it, I really think I made a good decision. I don't think I would have hit, I really don't. But hey, life is long, and here I am again, and creating content is now the thing to do. Short form content, specifically on TikTok, Reels, and what have you. And holy crap, TikTok is a dumpster fire. I've always thought that social media wasn't good for people. And I know fundamentally it like connects people and you could chat with people, but I believe that this prevents a lot of good growth. I think people should move on from situations and people and let connections just fade to the back and not die, but it's there. It's kind of like good for you to like cycle all of that stuff. I think cycling nostalgia is a very healthy, clean maintenance routine you should be doing. But social media doesn't allow that. Social media kind of encourages, I think, a lot of unhealthy things. One of them being um, keeping too much nostalgia alive. to the point where it stunts growth in general for personal creativity, personal growth, who I was. Like we have a database of everything you were. And it tends that most people think who they were is better than who they are. And that just creates a sad bastard. Then you have the confirmation bias problem, where before, you'd have some towns that had people who believed the earth was flat. And those people wouldn't really say that because it was kind of dumb and they didn't want to feel dumb. And most people didn't believe the earth was flat. But social media, in a big way, has made it possible for people to come together with their really crazy things, their really crazy beliefs, and fanatically fight those people who don't believe what they have to say, earth is flat or whatever. It really comes down to what it could even be something that sounds more familiar. One of the things, or something like more down to earth, like a big thing that I came up against was, I stand up for men in a big way, which is like super unpopular right now. If you stand up for men or question women at all in a respectful way, I was never rude, but I like to challenge people in their beliefs and understand where they're coming from. And one of the beliefs I ran into was that all men in America have sexually assaulted someone or committed domestic violence against someone. And I had an issue with that because the word all means me too, and my brothers and my dad and my uncles, who I know haven't done these things, right? So it's an absurd thing to say. You can't speak in absolutes because that means you automatically are wrong, and it just can't be that. Statistically, everyone is not one thing unless it's super, 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 super general. Like we are all together in the human race, human beings, that you could say that. So the absolute mania and hatred I got, immediate like casual racism, like that would be like I'm a straight white guy, which is like absolutely kryptonite to everybody on the internet who believes certain things. And like I can't even say like, well, why do you think that, or why do you believe that, or me just being like, I actually think this. They say since I'm a white straight man that I cannot have opinion on anything at all. And I think that's rude. You can't say that about anyone else, you know? You can't say, since you're a straight black man, we won't listen to your, you know, opinion. Even saying that right now makes me irk because that's not cool. We've fought as a community to make most people's voices heard. We're like basically climbing the mountain of trying to achieve equality, which I personally think is a farce. Um, like, because it's equality based on who, based on what, based on what belief? Is equality simply that everyone should be heard? Cool. That is not what it is right now. But legally, we do have equality. Um, Everyone would hate me for saying that on TikTok. So essentially, my TikTok jaunt, my posting of, I don't even know how many videos, but a lot, was insane. And basically confirmed what I already thought, which is TikTok is not good for anyone, and specifically terrible for the American youth. And I'm talking about, you know, anyone who has a phone. I think the younger you are, the more terrible it is. I think growing up in this era, like, because I'm a millennial, I'm 38 years old, I'm firmly in the middle, like, right? I'm pleasantly invisible to everyone. My opinion, like, no one's asking for it, and that's fine. Like the 20 somethings and the 18-year-olds that are about to enter like adulthood, real adulthood, all of those people, in my opinion, at least from what I've been exposed to, which is limited. I'm not saying that my opinion is king or is right. In fact, I would love to talk about it with some people. I think that if we were to be thrust into a boots on the ground war scenario, we'd be screwed. Yes, we have a lot of toys and we have a lot of armament and war machines, but you still need humans to run those things. And if we had a World War III situation, I believe like the youth of America is the engine of the military. In World War II, like most of the people who died were like early 20s individuals. And I think most youth in America would run away. I don't think people would stand up and do anything because the version of doing anything now is just making a TikTok video and saying that's bad. Okay, that's bad. Like if World War III happened, they'd be like, I can't believe Russia landed in Alaska and is making its way through Canada. That's not okay, Russia. We don't like that. You're stupid. And but when it came down to doing anything that required violence or being generally, excited to be American and to fight our enemies together, we'd be screwed. I truly believe that. I think that even if we had a week of disruption of the internet, the youth of America would lose their minds. I think the internet is changing the way, like intelligence. The average, and I would have to look this up. I mean, this is all just my opinions. But I think the average intelligence is far lower, and it's crazy because right now we literally have the tools to do anything. Like if I wanted to today conceptualize, if I had like the space to do it, and the means, and I went ahead and I was like use my money to buy parts to, or like a car, and wanted to fix it and make it like a workable car that drives and is cool. You could just do that. All the instructions are online. Most things that you have to do or want to do or seek to do, the instructions are just online. Before, people, like not even too long ago, like 38 years ago, I'm telling you, like you had to go to the library. Just 38 years ago, you had to go to the library to see where the instructions are to do things. And then in order to get the parts, you just had to do an incredible amount of work. Like back when I was making content, like cameras were very expensive. Everything was way more expensive than it is now. Like to make content today, which is why we have such a glut of content, creative content online. Everything is so affordable, and in part I'm like, great, good for everyone. I think that the cream will rise to the top, and some people would be backed by big companies and have an advantage, but it doesn't matter. If you're good and you market yourself and you get out there, you probably will get a little bit of an audience going there, and that's cool. But also at the same time, I think it's stupid. I don't think everyone should be able to make content, but to be honest, I don't think everyone does. You still have that wall between someone who makes something and it's good and someone who makes something and it's bad, and then you have the people who just say they want to make something. I don't know. Then and the big gap bridger, that bridges all gaps to creativity, is AI. Amanda, my wife, she says to me routinely, like, what is AI even for? It seems to just be a tool for people not to do work and to also make videos for no reason. Like, it doesn't seem to serve any purpose, really. And I'm like, yeah, I see what you're like. It's not like has it solved any crucial problem yet? No, it is still pretty youthful. It hasn't been around a lot. It's created an AI bubble in the market to some extent. But like, what is it for? It really just seems to be a mechanism to create trash. Like apparently not too long ago, like a month ago or something, they did a report that shows that now over 50% of the content online is AI generated. And they anticipate that within a year and a half or 2 years, it'll be 100%. And that is depressing to me. Like I sit here and think of just the divisiveness. Like the language of American youth is anger and judgment and saying to each other how dumb they are. There's no like unity. I feel like Maybe that's how it's always been, and I didn't perceive it. But I felt like growing up as a millennial, there was like punk rock. There's like groups of people who felt the same thing, but they weren't like, every man on the planet has sexually assaulted someone. It was like, hey, the government sucks, and we should make sure we keep them in check. That makes sense to me. Now it's just like all these subgroups of people who are just hating each other. Like TikTok is 90% hatred, 5% silly videos, 3% thirst traps, and 2% random just BS. My perception of the human race is at an all-time low. Not that it was ever super high, but I mean, it was pretty medium. I always kind of felt like people were going to do the good thing and work really hard to help each other out. And I think good triumphs all, it's in us somewhere. But I think about Hemingway, my baby boy, who will grow up in this crazy time. He'll ask me about the time before when there was no internet, no cell phones, no AI. And he'd be like, was it cool? And I'll be like, yeah, it was. It was cool. There's something about waiting for something to be done. Going through the analog process. People, I don't know how people feel about records, vinyl records, music, but I like that. Like, I want to start my own Blu-ray collection because, in the event of apocalypse, I want to be able to, like, maybe if we had some power, like, throw on a movie and not. We all, like, rely on the streaming. We all rely on cloud computing so much. Like, you understand that most of what we buy now, like, we have, like, digital copies of crap. If the internet goes down, we don't have that. You don't have that anymore. And you may say to yourself, so what? But to me, life is beautiful. And I submit, like, I'm going to always keep trying to make enough money to own my entire life. Working is so dumb. I spend 40 hours a week with people who I do not care about. I mean, to some extent, sure, but they're not my family. They're not my wife. They're not my baby. They're not my mom, my dad, my siblings. If someone said, you could give up your work today and you'll be good, like, we'll take care of you, would you do it? I'm like, no question. I would almost do anything within reason or even a little outside of reason to get that. Because spending time with my mom, my dad, my siblings, my brother-in-law, sister-in-law, nieces, like all of that is where the joy is. I love that so much. I love going to baseball games. I love bringing my family places and being generous with them and creating experiences. And it's just so nice. There's nothing that could beat it. There's no job that would trump that. And I'm not scared of the future. I'm a realist, right? It is what it is. I don't believe that in this state of like luxury, right? People like to say that we have struggles. We do not. And even in relation to 50 years ago, we don't have struggles that are relative to prior struggles. Like, we use slave labor to create our phones and our chips and our computers. But we don't care about that. That's weird. We're hypocrites. Like, it is the most bizarre thing to live in America, as we're like $34 trillion in debt. And we're like, we're the best. And our whole community seems split between people who are pro-America and anti-America. We're just sitting here creating problems for ourselves, finding reasons to hate each other for nothing. We could very easily all relax and just be like, wow, man, this is all great. I can't believe this. Like, we can do anything we want. And I live in one of the most expensive cities in the nation, right? So I can imagine even living in a cheaper place, living slow, having a barbecue, just hanging out. There are far better things to do. And I don't know. I could feel it in my bones. I want so frantically to get out of this rat race. And I'm sure everybody feels it to some extent. Unless you're a sociopath that's a CEO of some company and you're getting paid $38 million. So shut up. I wish so hard and I pray so hard for my family and for me and my family to just be blessed with some unbelievable, incredible miracle, to be given the means to no longer be a part of this, to bless others, and just to live this glorious life. I'm so sad for America right now. Like, I truly think it is a waste of time to hate someone, though I am guilty of hating in my life. And I've chosen in a single case to kind of forbid communication with one single person. Well, other people too, just because you don't talk to your exes. Those, that's over. Let them live their life. But I don't know. I like to move on. I like to grow. I like to challenge myself. I like to challenge other people. I think the hard thing is the right thing, and growth comes from being challenged overall. I don't care about being right. I care about the truth. And I see pain in people, and I see pain in all of America. It's so wild. The youth of America wants so desperately to have purpose, and they think that if they make TikToks about hating entire groups of people, that's it, that they're doing something. But they aren't. They think that becoming a content creator and becoming a millionaire is the ticket. And to some extent, I'm like, hell yeah, it is. Like, as long as you don't be consumed by some weird ideal, sure. Like, if you make millions and you get out or you continue, whatever, it's like, as long as you preserve what is good to you, dope. I don't know. We're in such a weird state of selling yourself, creating this boutique version of who you are, and selling it online for views. Corporate slaves of TikTok. I don't think people even see it that way. Like, if you're a content creator on TikTok, you are feeding the beast. If you make content that's like, oh, the corporations and capitalisms and the billionaires, it's like, you are feeding the billionaires. You know what you should do to give it up to the man? People are like, oh, we should not shop on Black Friday and we should blah blah blah. It's like, you should stop using TikTok altogether, and that would stick it to billionaires. All these platforms, all these social media, like Facebook alone, if you stopped using Facebook, Instagram, any Meta product, you would tank one billionaire, at least one. Whatever the hell his name is. How am I forgetting his name? Why is it Matt? It's not Matt. Mark Zuckerberg. You'd get him, because that's his whole bread and butter. The dude doesn't even make anything that you could tangibly like grab other than Meta glasses and Oculus or whatever it is. if you stopped, if everybody stopped using Facebook, you would take down Mark Zuckerberg. Boom. All meta things, stop using it. In fact, I'm going to make a TikTok about this right after this podcast. Like, people are so hating on billionaires, but I'm just like, you ain't doing nothing to stop them. You're complaining, but you're using all their services. Hypocrisy, decadence, the worship of just trash. I'm not worried for my son, because luckily he'll have me to listen to for at least 18 years of his life. Whether that'll make him rebel against me and say, whatever, Dad, screw you, I don't think that, which is fine. Or my ultimate goal would be that he just challenges things, including me, to think and to be independent and to not be dependent on these weird alien structures that we've created, like AI and social media. I don't know. Hey, if I have it my way, he'll be a baseball player. That'd be great. But until then, I'll do my best to save money, to amass some sort of wealth, make my money work for me the best I can, and keep asking God for a way out. But I can't complain. I'm very happy. I love my life. I love my family. I'm just being a little bitch, and that's fine. Just wanted to complain a little. Everyone has to work. But hey, if I didn't have to work and I got a lot of money, I swear to God, I would bless a lot of people. That indeed I would do. Anyways, all right. I think that's enough for today. Thank you for listening. My name is Travis Straw. This is Frantic Purpose. And make sure to enjoy your life. Let the stuff go. Just let it go and make sure to be on a path that you get to grow and be who you want to be. Don't be a slave to anybody, because screw that. Bye-bye.